UFC flyweight contender, Jessica I. Thank you so much for coming on. How is your life right now with all this stuff going on in the streets of the United States?
Well, I'm trying to do my best to just like not get a negative mindset. It's really sad what's going on, and I wish people were handled controversy a little bit better. So I'm just trying to staying out of harm's way and just staying at home and just really focusing on training. I feel like quarantine for me has kind of been like a training camp because I've just been home and not really doing much.
Yeah, you gotta stay out of trouble. A lot of people are out there getting in trouble, so it's the best thing to do is be in camp, I guess, for fighters.
Right, it really is.
All right, let's talk about UFC 245. You went out there, you had an excellent performance. Beforehand, some backlash, you know what I mean, because of the missed weight, and you were also coming off the title fight. Were you able to utilize that energy, the pressure that that people are putting on you to go out there and perform, or was it something that wasn't even in your mind?
It was there, even if I try to say a little bit that it wasn't, I think that it always is. I'm always trying to be better than my last self. I'm always trying to be better than the last fight that I performed. Obviously coming off of a big loss like that, everybody says it's so hard to come back. I thought it was the best reason to come back, the best reason to put, 10 toes on the ground and really show how great I really am. So that was, I don't know, I just use it as a motivation. It's really hard to keep me down, especially like when the people that I surround myself with are my supporters. So it's hard to like hear the nonsense on the outside.
With the lockdown, there was a few weeks there where you couldn't really do anything, and you've been very open about the injuries, and I think you had the elbow surgery, but I wanted to focus on your back because I felt like that has, impaired you the most for the past couple
Hmm.
of years. How did you get to relax more with the lockdown and get your back, the best you can be?
Yeah, so I mean, really moving to the UFCPI since, day one of getting there, my back was, a struggle and it has been for so long, and really treating it the way that it should be, and actually going through a therapy process. So post last June, since, the knockout, we went into like aggressive back therapy that my elbow had been like kind of the secondary to my back that had been causing me a lot of problems. So once we tackled that, we went into the fight. We knew that my elbow wasn't great. It gave me a lot of problems during the training camp. So it was perfect timing. Like, hey, we got our back under control. We know how to maintain this injury. I have, injuries that aren't going to go away. I have disc herniation, spinal stenosis, and bulging discs. It's not going to go away no matter how much therapy I do. It's about managing it properly. So we've got a good system for that. And then the elbow surgery was kind of crazy. Like, I had finished therapy basically and was released back the same week that we went into quarantine to full MMA training.
Oh.
So I just utilized that time to be able to go into like, I got the gym mats at my house, so I went right into training even more. You know what I mean? Because I'd already taken that time off the mats since, December, since the fight. So December and January, I wasn't on the mats at all. I wasn't training MMA. I was just doing anything that was like fitness related.
So when you did get back to training, how did it feel for the first couple of weeks? It must have been kind of awkward, right?
Yeah, I mean, not really awkward is, I don't know if that's the word for it, but
Mm.
like almost like I was excited. I was excited to get back to training. I felt like I was ready to try new things. I felt like my mind was fresh. I felt like I didn't feel rushed. And then as well as like, being in the quarantine time, it was like super awesome because I didn't feel rushed with my training. All I had to do was walk out to my garage. I have a full matted, wall pads and, floor pads. And, now I have a sauna. So it's like I have my own little setup. So it was like really cool, like it was like easy to go in my own garage and learn, and there wasn't any pressure. And I also live with my brother and my Brazilian Jiu Jitsu coach. So I had training partners and people around at all times.
So your brother's a fighter too?
Yeah, he's an amateur fighter. He's 4-0 now as an amateur fighter, and he fought. he's boxed and everything like that too. So we're a fighting family.
All right, it's in the blood. Now
Yeah.
let's move on to the fight that you got coming up with Cynthia Calvillo. This fight was put together rather quickly. Do you like this new version of the UFC? It seems like they're putting together fights like a couple weeks out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as like if I'm looking back as a fan, like just sit back and be entertained. Like
Mhm.
just let everyone else do their jobs and don't worry about having too much of an opinion. Just enjoy the training and or enjoy the fights that are going on and the matchups that they're making. Like these guys like they're making exciting matchups. There hasn't been one fight that we haven't enjoyed, regardless if we didn't agree on the matchup. They've all been great.
Yeah. Cynthia, is there anything unique about her skill set that stands out to you?
I love her gaming personality. You know what I mean? Like she's a gamer. She wants to fight. Like she wants to make it a fight, and I can relate to that. I have that dirty boxing style and that aggressive style. So I think that that's a matchup everyone should be excited about.
The coronavirus has slowed everything down, and fights are being put together quickly. Is there a different mentality during this period compared to like previous fights?
I can't say for me. I don't know how it is for
Mhm.
everybody else. Like for me, I like everything's been as normal almost. I feel like I've been in training camp. Like I feel like since March 15th when the PI closed and the gym shut down for us, like I feel like I've been in camp since then and it's like finally June's here, like camp's over with.
So in this fight, what aspect of your arsenal do you think we will the fans, us, we will see in this fight against Cynthia?
I think that you'll get to just see my overall like fight IQ, my
Mhm.
ability to showcase like how skilled I really am. And I feel like I got my jab back. I feel like I got some of these injuries I dealt with that manipulated my fight style. I feel somewhat sense of like my old self back. So I think my striking will just be far superior.
You've fought in the UFC, for many years now, and comfortability is something that's massive, and it builds confidence. Do you feel like you're still getting more comfortable in the octagon, or is it just something that is it about adaptation when you get in there?
I don't know. I think it's forever changing, but yeah, I do. I think that every single time I'm a little bit more comfortable with the process, and the more that I do it close together, the more that I feel like it's not like I haven't like been there. So it seems like kind of like that stale energy or that weirdness, of just like getting there and of being somewhere new. Like I feel like it wears off, but at the same time, like I'm lucky. I've had two fights now in Vegas, so I'm very fortunate for that, and I feel very blessed to be able to have that.
Yeah, it must be a huge blessing to be in Vegas, train in Vegas, have
I
the
live
PI, and then
here,
fight in Vegas.
yeah, and like literally live here. Like I have everything
Yeah.
I need, so it's pretty awesome.
Do you like the weather, the desert weather?
It's got its pros and cons. It's 100 degrees is hard to deal with, but when the weather's great here, it's great. You know what I mean? So like, it's nothing like Ohio, and I can respect that.
I see that, you on social media, you are active, but it's not like some other fighters, they're on there every day, posting all the time. How do you stay away from being immersed in social media? Because, even just regular people are so immersed into it and kind of get caught up in it.
I feel like I'm always spending so much time training all the time anyways, and I'm always doing so much that when like my friends are around and I have a lot of cool people that I like to spend my FaceTime with, and my actual time with. So like I feel like social media has never ran my life. It never will. Unless I'm paid to be fully on it. And which I probably will never choose that kind of career. It's just not how I live my life. But I try to give back to the fans. People want to see what I'm doing, so I try to be fair to the good people out there. And for the idiots that say things like, usually I just answer with something like, you know, smart ass or condescending to them, and some other way. So it doesn't really get to me.
Well, you do read some of the comments then.
Yeah, of course they're
Mm,
funny. Sometimes they're
mm.
hilarious, and like I just laugh them off. I'm like, God, who is this guy or girl on the other end of this? Like sometimes they misconstrue things and things I
Yeah.
couldn't even understand how they misconstrue, but content can be taken out of context at times. So
Yeah, it seems like people read what you write the way that they want to read it. They kind of
Yeah.
perceive it their way.
Always. And I'm guilty of that too. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you don't know if someone says like okay or like okay. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like it's really challenging. So like again, it's hard to take it serious when I don't really know the person, or I don't really understand unless they put like a kind emoji or something. Or usually if they're being a smart ass, they'll put like a laughing face, so then I know they're being a smart ass.
The past couple years, women's MMA has blown up. It's crazy right now. You're main eventing versus Cynthia, so it shows you that it's getting bigger and bigger. The
Hmm.
earlier this year there was a fight, UFC 248, Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. They went to war. It was probably one of the greatest fights of all time, not just women's MMA. What did you think of that
Yeah,
matchup?
it was awesome. I thought it was really, really good. I enjoyed it. Like I sometimes suck as a fight fan. So I really enjoyed watching that fight. I really thought it was fun. I really thought it was just a fun fight. It was sweet. It's awesome to see women doing so well.
What did you think of the hematoma on the forehead? That was pretty insane.
Yeah, remember who that happened to? Mark Homnick years previously.
Yeah,
I
you're
think it
right.
was. I mean, it happens. It's fighting. You know what I mean? I'm sure it happens under football helmets and pads and, like things like that happen that we don't get to see, when it's physical contact. So lucky for the fans, they got to see some crazy stuff.
Yeah, yeah. With Zhang Weili, she's the first Chinese champion, and I'm out in Asia, so I want to ask you about her. Do you see her staying at the top for a long time, or are there a lot of dangerous contenders in that division, you believe?
I think in general, the new age MMA fighters being developed. So these young girls that, were teenagers 5 years ago that started watching the UFC when Ronda was around, there's more of them now. So there's the younger generation. We're going to have to, be worried about them. These girls are going to be really good. They'll have trained longer than us. So um, let's hoping that Wheatley has done a great job to inspire young girls to do big things there. And as well as showcase that it doesn't matter where, who, or what, like what your position is in life, you can be an amazing fighter if that's what you choose to be. So I mean, she showcased that, so it's spectacular, and it's awesome to have like a first time champ, in the UFC doing a PI there. Like it's awesome. It's just showing how much our sport's growing and how much we have to gain.
One last thing before I let you go. Actually, two more things. Sub 15. What submission do you want to pull off against your opponent?
Oh man, if I could get another standing arm triangle, that would be awesome. Another standing arm triangle would just be absolutely incredible. So yeah, standing arm triangle.
I'll be watching for that then. No, no. There's many different types of competitors in this sport. There's usually two categories. There's the martial artist or there's the prize fighter. Where do you fit in?
I think I'm a little bit of both. I really do. I feel like I'm a prize fighter. I feel like I'm an OG in this sport, and I feel like I always come bringing something, bringing either in like some type of enjoyment, entertainment. So I feel like I'm kind of both. I don't know. I feel like I'm still working into to that person. We've seen people who just came in and then turn into these fantastic prize fighters that are just making the money. Crate just it's for the money fights, and then you got the other martial artists, who enjoy the boxing, understand like the fight IQ and just showcase that.
Going back to the question that I had, and you mentioned the younger generation, and you're in the position as a veteran. When you see like the veterans right now, they're beating all the prospects. Have you been noticing that trend?
It is. It's crazy, right? Like, because I think that we're seeing it both ways. We're seeing newbies beat vets, and we're seeing vets come back and be like, just invigorate their careers and just turn it around. So again, it's like this is a crazy time in fighting. It's like when you turn a pro, you have to be ready for anything, to come your way and be ready for any kind of opportunity. So, yeah, it's a crazy time right now.
All right. Well, June 13th, Las Vegas, main event, UFC. I don't even know what it's called. It's UFC Fight Night, I
Yeah,
versus
that's what
Calvillo,
I
right?
said. Like, I don't even know what it is. It's UFC I versus Calvillo. That's what it
But
is.
that's kind of dope, right? That's kind of cool, right? Your name is in the event.
Yeah, I just think like when ESPN like starts showing like ESPN Classic channel, like
Yeah.
years from now when we're on there and they're talking about this UFC card, pandemic, like talking about the whole time, like we'll be one of those fights. So I'm pretty jacked about that.
All right, Jessica, thank you so much for the time. Enjoy the fight and good luck on
Thank
everything
you.
that's going in your life, inside and outside the cage.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. We'll talk soon.